Welcome to the Aria. It's striking to realize that over 90% of our viewers decide against subscribing. If this video strikes a chord, please subscribe and give that like button a tap. We aim for 500 likes on this piece. Join us as we dive into today's story. I never thought I would find myself in such a situation. Looking back, I can't help but wonder if there were signs I missed, moments that should have warned me of what was to come. Yet, life seldom reveals itself in such simple ways. There are moments when you suddenly realize you've been dancing on the edge of danger for far too long, blind to the threat that has been waiting in the shadows. I'm Nora, and for 12 years I've been intertwined with my husband, Daniel. We built a life together, one that seemed, to an outsider, solid, respectable, maybe even admirable. A breathtaking home, a perfect bond, a life that evokes envy in many. Yet, hidden beneath the surface, the truth was a stark contrast to the illusion it presented. Daniel was the rock everyone leaned on, a man whose unwavering presence inspired deep trust in all who crossed his path. He showed unwavering dedication, took responsibility for his actions, and tackled challenges with a practical approach. He took on the mantle of provider with fierce commitment, making sure our family never lacked for anything essential. As time went on, a profound shift took hold of our relationship. The warmth we once shared began to fade away. At first, I dismissed it, telling myself it was merely a facet of everyday existence. I held the conviction that each marriage goes through its unique stages. The excitement of youth fades, giving way to a life of stability, comfort, and the known. When does intimacy shift into distance? We still cared for each other, I guess, but we no longer truly saw one another. Our conversations became mechanical, consumed by bills, schedules, and duties, leaving no room for the essence of us. We stopped probing the profound, letting go of the fleeting thoughts that once tethered us. We were near, but with every passing year, the gap between us widened, and then Alex entered the scene. From their college days onward, Alex remained Daniel's unwavering ally. Back then, they were bound by an unbreakable bond, their laughter ringing out as they spun dreams and forged plans side by side. As time flowed, their paths split apart, but their connection remained unbreakable. Alex and Daniel were worlds apart in every possible way. Daniel was the anchor, grounded and resolute, while Alex sparkled with a carefree charm and infectious vitality. He had a rare gift for making others feel comfortable, turning ordinary moments into something truly memorable. His charm was effortless, a magnetic force that drew me in. As Daniel pulled away, Alex stepped in, filling a gap I hadn't even known existed until now. For years, he lingered in my thoughts, nothing more than my husband's closest friend. He was just Alex, a constant presence at barbecues, always there to lend a hand to Daniel with repairs, and a wellspring of laughter for our children. A change unfolded, and even now I can't shake the thought of when it happened. Did it happen slowly, piece by piece, or was there a single moment that shifted everything forever? It was on Daniel's birthday that I first felt its weight. We welcomed friends and family into our home, sharing an evening that crackled with laughter and the warmth of delicious food. As the evening deepened, Daniel felt a magnetic pull towards the intense conversations igniting around him with his colleagues. In every gathering, he would inevitably wander into discussions about work, exploring subjects that felt distant and unfamiliar, as he had stopped sharing them with me long ago. In the heart of the home, I stood among the clatter of dishes, gathering the remnants of a meal, pouring fresh libations into waiting glasses. Alex stepped into the room, hands trembling as he grasped a dish, the water cascading over it like a fleeting moment of clarity. I said, "You don't need to help." He shrugged, a fleeting gesture that spoke volumes. I stand in complete agreement. For a brief moment, we labored in a tranquil silence until he shattered it with his voice again. "Does happiness walk beside you, Nora?" In that fleeting instant, I froze, and then a soft laugh broke free from my lips. "What kind of question is that?" "A genuine one." I forced a smile. "Absolutely, my heart is overflowing with happiness. Why shouldn't I be?" Alex paused, the silence heavy with unspoken words. His gaze pierced through me, revealing a truth I had yet to confront within my own soul. In that brief moment, a wave of emotion surged through me, a feeling I hadn't felt in years, the deep, stirring recognition of being seen. It surpassed simple desire or any hint of wrongdoing. Someone was watching, and the truth of it was inescapable. After that night, everything shifted. I started to see sides of Alex that I had overlooked, or maybe I had always seen them but never allowed myself to truly reflect. He listened intently, remembering the little things about my life that even Daniel had forgotten. When he asked about my day, his genuine interest was unmistakable, hanging in the air between us. He evoked real laughter from deep within me, not the hollow sounds I sometimes produce to keep up appearances, but a joy that rang true and pure. I convinced myself it was harmless. He was just a friend by my side. Yet deep down I knew the truth. With each passing week, my longing for his visits grew, an almost overwhelming thrill. Our conversations deepened, sometimes through fleeting texts, other times over coffee, each moment charged with unspoken emotion. At first, it was untouched and innocent. In discussions about literature, melodies, and those fleeting, joyful moments that lightened the heaviness of life, I unwittingly laid bare more of myself than I ever meant to. The burden of my frustrations, the haunting shadows of my fears, the deep-seated emotions I had held onto for ages, teetering on the brink of oblivion. Alex was always there, his attention unwavering, absorbing my feelings with an open heart, free from judgment. He took in the words, each one striking deep. As the sun sank beneath the horizon, Daniel braced himself to leave town for work, a routine that felt anything but ordinary. His job often demanded he be on the move. That night, Alex came, as he always did, to check on me and the kids in the stillness of the living room. As the children slipped into slumber, we plunged into a conversation that teetered on the edge of the profound and the mundane. Uncertainty haunts my thoughts, leaving me questioning what drove me to speak those words. His gaze bore into me, a force that stirred the deep emotions I had carried for so long. I blurted out, almost instinctively, how I longed for Daniel to gaze at me like you do. Alex's demeanor changed. He fell silent, unwilling to brush it off with a laugh. He locked eyes with me, and in that moment, an electric bond pulsed between us. Maybe he just lost his path, he whispered. The silence hung heavy, charged with meaning. I shot up, a chilling realization gripping me, as though I had stepped into dangerous territory. Alex nodded, recognizing the need for rest, but stayed frozen in place, caught in the moment. Nora, he whispered softly, you're not alone. His words lingered in the air, haunting me long after he left that night. I tried to convince myself it was just a momentary slip, meaningless, something I could dismiss and pretend had never happened. Yet the truth was I had crossed a line, one that others could not see. What strikes fear deep within? A part of me faltered, reluctant to go back. In the days after that night, my thoughts were haunted by what had happened. Nothing had really happened, at least not in a way that anyone else could see. Silence wrapped around them, heavy with unspoken truths that hung in the air, easily rationalized and brushed aside. Yet no lines were crossed in any real sense. A transformation had ignited within me. Once that shift happened, there was no turning back. I pushed myself to release it, to act as if everything was perfectly in place. Normal felt like a fading echo, a part of my past I had let slip away. Whenever Alex was near, an undeniable feeling wrapped around me, a silent force, a presence that had always been missing. I wondered if he felt it too, or if it was just my mind weaving shadows from thin air. Daniel came back from his business trip a few days later, and I poured everything into becoming the wife I was destined to be. I greeted him warmly, served his favorite meal, and listened closely as he recounted tales of his meetings and the people he met. He kissed my cheek, a familiar gesture, a silent thank you for holding everything together while he was away. I smiled, my heart racing, and assured him it was no trouble at all. Yet deep inside, an unshakable emptiness remained, impossible to articulate. Weeks passed, and I did everything I could to avoid Alex. I understood that to hold on to my life, I needed to stop what was happening before it consumed me. I caught myself weaving excuses for every message he sent. I kept our conversations polite, yet emotionally distant. I told myself it was the right thing to do. That afternoon, fate led me to him in the grocery store. While I picked the vegetables, his voice pierced through the air from behind me. "Are you avoiding me, Nora?" I pivoted sharply, a rush of adrenaline igniting every nerve in my body. Alex stood there, a basket in his hand. His eyes locked onto mine with a piercing intensity that made any lie impossible. "I've just been busy," I said, forcing a smile that barely masked the truth. He tilted his head just enough, his gaze piercing through me with purpose. "Absolutely." A quiet breath slipped from my lips as I looked down at my cart. "Alex, I think we should." Just as I was about to finish, he cut in, "No need for explanations, Nora. I get it." I nodded, relief flooding through me as he understood my thoughts, but an unspoken ache remained in my chest, stubbornly unnamed. After a brief silence, I finally uttered the words, "I should go." "Text, of course," he replied, his voice gentle and calming. "Take care." I turned and walked away, a powerful conviction rising within me, confirming that I had chosen wisely. But if that were true, why did it feel so profoundly out of place? As dusk fell, an unsettling presence gripped Daniel's senses. "You've been quiet," he remarked, settling onto the couch after dinner. A smile flickered across my lips. Utterly drained. He nodded briefly, then turned his attention back to his phone, and in that moment the conversation ended. Our connection was profound and undeniable. Our conversations had strayed from reality's core, and maybe that was why I had let myself get so close to Alex in the first place. In his presence, I felt the deep impact of being genuinely heard. A deep wave of understanding washed over me. One whole week passed before fate brought us together again. This time it took me by surprise. Parked outside the coffee shop, I was absorbed in my phone, fingers gliding over the screen when he appeared at the door. He was unaware of my presence, and for a brief instant I considered escaping before he noticed me. But in that heartbeat, our eyes locked, binding our destinies together. He approached my car, his body relaxed as he leaned against the open window, attention hanging in the air. "Nora," I took a deep breath. Our eyes met for a fleeting second before he shattered the stillness again. "Will you walk with me?" I should have said no. Surprisingly, I found myself nodding in agreement. We wandered through a tranquil park nearby, the air thick with unspoken emotions. The late afternoon descended, the air sharp yet soothingly warm. The leaves murmured to the wind, and for an instant we walked in silence. Finally, Alex discovered his voice. "I promise I never meant to make things harder for you." I swallowed hard, fully aware. "Nora, you occupy my every thought." I stopped dead in my tracks and turned to face him. "Alex, we just can't." "I get it." He cut in, fingers raking through his hair, tension crackling in the air. Even knowing it's futile, my emotions stay resolute. I turned away, my heart pounding in my chest. "Your request leaves me speechless." "No need for words," he whispered softly. "I just wanted you to know." We stood in silence, the weight of unspoken feelings hanging heavily between us. Finally, I exhaled softly. It was time for me to go. Alex nodded, a flicker of resolve in his eyes. With resolve, I turned and left, each step heavier than the last, weighing down my heart. That evening, I lay in bed next to Daniel, staring at the ceiling, lost in a whirlwind of confusion unlike anything I had ever experienced. My heart brimmed with love for my husband. We had built a life together. Yet, with Alex, an unfamiliar feeling ignited within me, one I hadn't felt in years and was hesitant to confront, even within my own mind. A wave of dread washed over me as the implications of that realization sank in. As the days faded, I pushed everything aside, surrendering to an emotion that felt dangerously unwise. An invisible line loomed ahead, and a deep awareness gripped me. I was on the edge of something extraordinary. One evening, Daniel came home earlier than usual, his weariness palpable, his mind adrift in deep contemplation. I asked if everything was okay, and he just nodded, saying that work had been exhausting. We dined in silence. Once he sank into the couch, absorbed in the news, I slipped into our bedroom, softly shutting the door, and released a heavy sigh. I clutched my phone, eyes locked on the screen, as time stretched into an agonizing eternity. I felt drawn to reach out to Alex, not for hidden reasons or confessions, but just to talk. Yet, therein lay the dilemma, did it not? I should never have wanted that. Before I could think, my fingers moved, driven by an unseen force. Hello, I stared at the message, torn between the urge to delete it and the weight of its significance. Just as I was about to move forward, the screen lit up with a response. Alex, I've been waiting for your message. My heart pounded fiercely. For a moment, I hesitated, my thoughts swirling. I can't grasp why I did what I did. The air hung heavy with a moment of silence. Then Alex Buret, because you ache for our conversations. Eyes tightly shut, I surrendered to the enveloping darkness. I should have turned it down, should have shouted that it was a lie. Still, I held back. I turned off my phone and lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. I realized I could no longer walk this road. As the sun rose, I made a vow to move ahead. I needed to end this, to find Alex once and for all. I told Daniel about my errands, brushed my lips softly against his cheek, and left. When I got there, Alex was waiting for me at home. His face registered shock, but a flicker of satisfaction danced in his eyes as I arrived. Nora, he said, stepping aside to let me in, didn't expect to see you both here. I can't go on like this, I said, my voice barely a whisper. He shut the door gently behind me. What now? Express yourself like this. This is the raw sensation of it all. Alex, my love for my husband is profound, I know. His voice echoed gently, a steady beacon of tranquility. A shadow of discontent lingers within you, and I exhale sharply. It doesn't matter at all. Absolutely it does. I shook my head, overwhelmed by disbelief. Truly it does not. This situation is utterly unacceptable as I made a promise to uphold my commitment. Alex's gaze held mine, stretching the moment into something profound. What draws you to this moment? The question hit me hard, an unexpected force. What led me here? Did I crave closure? Did I crave that final glimpse of him? Or maybe, despite everything, a piece of me held tightly to the past, refusing to let go? I have no idea, I murmured. He edged in just a bit, and I felt the heat of his presence, the weight of everything left unsaid. If I asked you to stay, he whispered softly, would you? I took a deep breath. Had he asked me this a month ago, a week ago, or even just yesterday, maybe I could have said yes, but now, standing here with the weight of impending loss pressing down, my choice is unmistakable. No, I murmured. Alex exhaled slowly, nodding in understanding. I turned, my heart racing as I approached the door. Before I left, I paused. No regrets about knowing you, Alex, I declared, my eyes locked on the horizon. He replied, his voice steady. I have no regrets. As I turned to leave, the night wrapped around us, and I stood next to Daniel, feeling the calm of his steady breaths. He was a man of virtue, my unwavering supporter, who cared for my every need, who gave me all I cherished. Yet, our union was not without flaws. We had grown apart. Love soared beyond the confines of perfection. The choice to stay was everything. This evening, I stood at a crossroads, grappling with a decision that weighed heavily on my heart. I closed my eyes, feeling the razor's edge of losing myself completely. In the end, I found my way again. A heavy silence settled over everything in the days that followed. A strange calm settled within me, not born of happiness, but from the deep conviction that I had chosen wisely, even as it cut through me with sorrow. Again, I stood mute before Alex, I decided against blocking his number or indulging in any dramatic goodbyes. It felt pointless. We both sensed that what almost happened between us existed in a world beyond reality's grasp. A moment of raw vulnerability passed, a crack in the facade now sealed. I turned my focus to my marriage. I started to watch Daniel with new eyes, seeing him not just as my husband, but as a person with his own story. I asked about his work, truly listening to his answers as I sought to recover the precious moments we had lost over time. The soft touches, the lingering conversations, the bursts of laughter. It became a true test. Love was not the magical force that effortlessly solved every problem. Every day forced us to confront a choice that couldn't be ignored. I was shaping it with care. One evening, as we lingered on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, Daniel turned to me and said, "You seem different lately." A smile flickered across my lips. "Is it enough? Unique?" He nodded slightly, a silent recognition passing between them.